retrieved that night.
Harry Truman is President of the United States. Dwight D. Eisenhower, General Nathan Twining, these people would be the very first that would get these calls. And there was some sort of a communication glitch. That's how that headline made it out. That one headline was telling the truth, but this government did not want information about non-humans out to what their perceived enemies were. And Harry S. Truman, a practical man in every way, looking at this whole situation, he must have said, I need help I can trust.
If you were President Truman in 1947 and you were presented with credible evidence that there was an alien presence on planet Earth, what would you do? You would create a commission to study what is going on and make recommendations and explore the subject. What did President Harry Truman do? He created Majestic 12. He created the National Security Act, he created the National Security Council, and he created the CIA, all at the same time in response to this threat.
The U.S. government decided it needed to have a main central oversight committee that would handle the so-called alien problem. The mission of MJ-12 was to decide on what the United States government policy should be towards aliens and extraterrestrials, what it should be towards releasing the information or keeping it secret, and they were empowered to ultimately decide everything regarding the presence of aliens on the planet Earth.
President Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, Laura Eisenhower, claims that the Majestic 12 was a real organization and that her great-grandfather had no choice but to continue what his predecessor, Harry Truman, had started.
President Eisenhower was definitely in a very challenged position as far as how to handle the exopolitical issues going on. He was actually the scapegoat or somebody everybody could later blame for some of the things that are happening. That is actually MJ-12. This is the hidden shadow government. He wasn't able to do anything about it. But the ones that were close to him knew that he was going to put out this information for the public. And it got shut down. They even had a planned date and nothing ended up happening.
March 1994. Almost a decade after Jamie Shandere received the Eisenhower briefing document, Majestic 12 researchers are shocked when a second roll of film surfaces. This time, it is sent anonymously to a UFO group in Maryland from Quillen's drugstore in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe was among the first to examine these documents, and she has been conducting research on MJ-12 for more than 2 decades. In April 2017, editor and researcher Giorgio Tsoukalos traveled to Albuquerque, New Mexico to meet with Linda and find out what she knows about these mysterious documents.
So if I understand this correctly, the first documentation of the MJ-12 files came in the form of 35mm negatives that somebody at some point took photos of a document that existed in paper form. Do we know who did this? Who took those photographs?
Throughout my experience as a reporter, there are people who have served in the military or CIA, DIA, NSA, NRO, and they are out there and they have grudges. They are angry. They feel that this story should come out or that they have been infringed against. And in this case, this might have been somebody who had this manual in their
Theorists say yes, and suggest further examination of the MJ-12 documents reveals that the government was not only aware of extraterrestrials, but also interacted with them. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Ancient astronaut theorist Georgiou Tsoukalos is at the home of Linda Moulton Howe. After examining all of the material related to the Majestic 12, she believes that the most compelling documents are those that surfaced in Maryland in 1994.
This, to me, this is the best document that's been leaked. It's called Restricted Psalm 101, Majestic 12 Group. And all of us, when we first saw that title, Extraterrestrial Entities in Technology Recovery and Disposal, one of the first things that everybody wanted to do was find out, okay, did they use this stamp in 1954 from the War Office? Turns out that they did, all the way up into the 60s. And one of the more important pieces, I think, is as you go through here, they found in a government printing office, take a look at this. This is from a blow-up where they were doing a test. And look at this unauthorized, and look at what happens to that Z. It raises slightly.
Right.
So Bob went to the government printing office and found a guy named McCarter who was printing in the GPO in Washington, D.C. in 1954. And he took one look at this text and he said, this was done on a monotype. I used it, and the Z would collect dust, and that's why the Z's would print rays.
So different steps have been taken to authenticate this document.
Yes.
The fellow I spoke to, he fortunately had been a long time employee of the public printer and had actually worked on the kind of presses that he thought were appropriate for this document. He said, based on the printing, I'd say it clearly was printed on one of the presses in this building or in this basement of the Pentagon in 1954, which is what it says.
And then when you start getting into what is in this book, you have the illustrations and sketches of 4 different categories of different craft UFOs. And on this page, here are the discs. Here is a long cigar shape, which is described in this document as being up to 1,000 feet in diameter. And then this one, the ice cream cone, and this, the triangle. And there is a paragraph in here that implies that we are dealing with collaboration, that there must be some agreement between the United States and the extraterrestrials.
Really?